Hello and welcome to Mizma TV. I'm Syed Ali Mushtaba talking to you from Chennai. We are discussing today prospects of democracy in Burma, and we have in our studios one very eminent person, Mr. D.S. Rajan, who is Director for Chinese Study in Chennai, and he was formerly with the Government of India in the Cabinet Secretariat in the rank of Director. He is retired. Welcome to the Mizma TV, Mr. Rajan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rose.
No, that's a good analysis, but you see, I mean, right now the global attention is towards the recession, and the whole entire world is, in terms of recession mode. So, and there are so many other agendas on the global map. I mean, Myanmar has fallen down into sort of, and very low into it. And as far as the American interest is concerned, they are, they are not as vociferous as they were before. I mean, in terms of sanctions and things like that, they are solving their own
Exactly.
problem. The European Union also is, way onto that.
Yeah.
The ASEAN is also, in the grip of the same kind of thing. So this leaves the field only for two players, that is China and India.
In other words, also the two countries are going to play an important
two. And as far as India is concerned, I just wanted to know your opinion. I mean, because the Chinese are deeply into it, and they would like to monitor, each and every step what is going on in Myanmar or in Burma. How about your opinion about India? I mean, how does India look at this?
In India, there are two voices. Of course, the election has taken place. The new government is going to come. Whether there will be any change on their Myanmar policies or not, it remains to be seen. But what has happened earlier, India had established contacts with the junta in terms of what you call pragmatic diplomacy. The Manmohan Singh government, some senior people visited there and all, signed some agreements on oil to sort of, first of all, to attend to India's energy needs. Secondly, to sort of in some kind of a competition with China, because China is getting into some kind of making a lot of inroads into Myanmar, not only in the energy sector with the purpose of energy, but also through the various other means by using the Sittwe port as an oil transport security route, and also which has got the potential to become some kind of a naval base for China, etc. So India wants to counter this kind of things. So India's motives were perhaps based on these two factors. One is the energy factor, another is countering the Chinese influence. How it is going to be? Typically for the elections, we have to wait for the statements coming from the Indian government, whether they are supporting the proposal to hold elections in 2010, under what conditions. Definitely, I would expect the government of India to say that the elections have to be free. It have to be democratic, with the participation of all political parties which play a role in Myanmar's politics at the moment.
Well, if you remember, the military junta is there from 1962. And the major shake-up in Burma which took place was in 1988 when the student revolt took place. Then in 1990 they had a first democratic election, out of that pressure. But they had declared it null and void. The National League of Democracy won its with a landslide victory, and all the election was annulled. Then out of that pressure only in 1993 they announced this 7-point road to democracy. So all these things we keeping in mind, will all this election in 2010 going to address to the people's issue in Burma? What is going to achieve altogether actually?
It is very difficult to say what will be the impact of the proposed elections in 2010 on Myanmar's democracy as a whole. Whether the entire country can be sort of brought under a democratic regime, fully democratic regime or not. It's very difficult to say, because the military junta is very, very hesitant to hand over power to other sections of the society. You can say the younger elements in the military, perhaps they are having a voice in the military. Their voice is growing. Maybe the proposal, the elections proposal themselves could be a product of that kind of a feeling. But in reality, the power is wielded by the military in the Myanmar today, particularly the old leadership. Whether they are going to change their policy, whether they are going to be conciliatory towards opposition voices, like those emanating from Aung San Suu Kyi, etc., it remains to be seen. To me, it appears that if at all it will be there, it will be very, very gradual. It cannot be sudden, because they don't want to. They believe that without military there will be anarchy in a multi-ethnic Myanmar. The country might break up. Now, in the same breath, I want to focus on China. why China wants to support the present regime. Of course, the strategic factors I have told you, the energy factor and also the geostrategic factors. They are going to support the elections. They are going to make all the noises in favor of the elections without applying too much pressure on the military junta, because Myanmar is needed by them more than what India needs, in my opinion. And I think if at all any country which can apply influence, their influence on Myanmar, it is only China, because Myanmar is dependent on China. The Myanmar military is dependent on China for arms and equipment, and they would very much like to see China as some kind of a cushion against the opposing voices coming from the rest of the world. And China is not going to oblige the world powers which call for sanctions, United Security Council, etc., etc. So they are going to be with the Myanmar regime. What India is going to do, India cannot. India has to support democracy in Myanmar, whichever party comes into power. Is what I personally believe. For pragmatic reasons, yes, you can deal with the present regime, military junta. But so there will be a two-pronged strategy. India, I believe. Personally, I recommend a two-pronged policy for India. One is, okay, deal with the military regime in Myanmar, and in the interest of India's economic interest and India's geostrategic interest. But at the same time, that has to be combined with India's support to aspirations within the Myanmar society towards a dynamic democracy.
Yeah, that was very interesting discussion on the prospects of democracy in Burma, and I thank D.S. Rajan for coming and enlightening us about his views on Burma. Thank you very much for
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa, and I'm really grateful for having invited me today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.